Hello ninjas and welcome to the Coder Dojo. How's everyone been? It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm really looking forward to today's one actually. It's going to be a lot of fun. So today we're going to be making Missile Command. I'm going to show you the game. Looks like this when we start it. So you have all these rockets that are falling down. And you can see that there's this sort of turret or cannon that's just moving around to follow my mouse, and when I hit the space bar it shoots a little laser. Now the thing that's really interesting is that we make a little explosion near where the rockets are, and the explosion can kind of catch the other rockets like that. You can see they can kind of chain reaction off each other. So we're going to create some code that makes these explosions. There we go. And then, because this is kind of how the original Missile Command game worked, it was all about judging where the explosions would be to take out the rockets, and trying to get more than one per shot. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting because we're going to use clones to basically create these explosions that spawn in different parts of wherever the rockets are, wherever the rockets get destroyed at. How's it going, Ms. Yeti? Have you been keeping well? It's been a couple of weeks. I was meant to do one of these last week, but I got a migraine, so this one had to be put off. But I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, well, what I will do is I will show you around some of the code just for the first few minutes, and just remind you about some of the about what sort of stream we like to have here, and then we'll get into coding it ourselves. So get yourself all nice and settled, get a drink if you need one, if you want one, so that you're all comfortable, and then in a couple of minutes after I've gone through some of this stuff, we'll start with the coding. So first of all, I'm just going to show you around. We've got 4 different sprites here. 3 of them we're going to draw ourselves. One of them we can just take from the sprites in Scratch. I should also mention this is not going to go into the really basics of doing Scratch. I've actually put a new YouTube video up on this YouTube channel called Beginner's Introduction to Scratch. So if you need some help with how to make new sprites and how to drag the coding out and that kind of thing, I recommend you go and watch that video first, and then come back to this video or any of the other videos. This stream will go up as a video, usually a couple of hours after the stream is finished. So that's good. So just to give you a rough idea, this is we've got this missile launcher sprite here, which is always pointing towards the mouse. This laser sprite here, we've got some code that causes. Oh, we don't need that. We've got some code that basically clones a laser and fires it wherever the missile launcher is pointing, that is. And then we've got the explosion. Now the explosion's really interesting because when they appear, it could be anywhere. It depends where the rocket is that's just been shot. What we do is we actually use 2 variables to set where the explosion is supposed to go, using X and Y coordinates. I'll go into that in a bit more detail. So yeah, and that code to set where the explosion should go is actually all in the rocket ship, which is kind of interesting. And the rocket ship is what spawns the explosion. The code to do that is in the rocket ship. Okay, so before we start, Ms. Yeti says I've been playing games on my laptop. What games have you been playing recently, Ms. Yeti? So before we start the coding, just a few other little things. If you are in the chat, remember to be positive and encouraging. There's only one rule in the Coder Dojo, and that is to be cool. But when we say be cool, we are talking about you being cool not only to yourself, but to everyone around you. So make sure that you're not being mean, and in fact, go even further than that. Make sure that what you're saying and what you're doing is always kind to the other ninjas in the chat. There's a lot of very young ninjas here, so if you are an older ninja, make sure that you're always being encouraging to them. They're a lot younger than you, so they're going to struggle with things that you don't struggle with. Make sure that you're always encouraging, no making fun of anyone, and that kind of thing, especially if we're going into helping out a bit later in the stream with people who have problems with their code. All right, and as always, if you need help with your project, remind me of your Scratch name, write it in chat, especially if it's different to your chat name, and if you can, try and say what's not working. It just makes things a lot faster. Also, make sure that you share your project and save it before you ask for help, because a lot of the time when someone says, oh, help, I then go to look for their project and I can't find it because they haven't shared it and they haven't saved it. Do it early on the process, and then the project will be there when I go looking for it. Okay, so let us make a start. I'm going to move this over here. Ms. Yeti says, you've been playing Tetris and Classic Cube. So I know Tetris. I actually don't know what Classic Cube is. Is that like, yeah, what's Classic Cube like? There was a game kind of like Tetris that I used to play called Columns, which is kind of a bit like, no, actually it's not like, what's it called? It's not like Candy Crush. It's a bit different to that. It's kind of like, there was a game I used to play called Columns, which was like a mixture between sort of like Candy Crush and Tetris. Also, how, Ms. Yeti, seeing as you're in chat, how's my voice coming through? I've got a different audio interface plugged in at the moment, and it might be a little bit quieter, but hopefully you can still hear me okay. Oh, Classic Cube is a rewrite of Minecraft. Ah, very cool, very interesting. And you've played Columns before. Excellent. It's a good game, actually. It's like Tetris. It's like sort of, it's strangely addictive. All right, everyone. The intro is over, but now we're going to start coding. So everyone go to Scratch, the website. Click on Create if you haven't already. We're going to call this Missile Command. Audio is fine, Ms. Yeti. Good, thank you for letting me know. All right, and then everyone click Share to make sure that it's ready if you need any help from me. And don't forget to save in the top left corner when you click on File, Save Now. Okay, so first things first, what we are going to do is we are going to program in the turret, the cannon. So everyone come along with me and press the X on sprite 1 to get rid of the cat sprite. We don't need the cat sprite today. Bottom right corner, that little cat face, click on paint a sprite. Yeah, go above the cat face and click on paint. And then what we need to do is we need to do a circle. Doesn't have to be very big. Nice and small is fine. And then out of that circle, we need to do just a little rectangle. Now there's a trick to doing circles as well when you draw circles. I think if you hold, is it Control? No. What about Alt? No. What about Shift? Yes. Yes. So if you're making a circle, before you start drawing the circle, hold down Shift and then drag your circle, and then you'll end up with a perfect circle, not an oval. All right. Make sure that this goes on top. And I'm going to make mine grey. You can make yours whatever color you like. And make sure that your circle, when you drag it around, make sure that when you're dragging it around, you can see you've got that little crosshairs in the middle. Make sure that's that little cross. Make sure that you bring that into the crosshairs that's in the middle of your drawing area, so that it's right in the middle, and that's nice and centered. That's good. Okay, I'm going to change the color of this to grey. There we go. That seems good. Just going to make this a little bit shorter, I think. Cool. All right, we've got a little sprite. Now this is going to be the we'll call this the cannon. So give this a name. The top, the middle right side of the screen where you've got the sprite name, it should be called Sprite 1 for now. Make sure that you highlight Sprite 1 and rename it to Cannon. All right, now hopefully everyone's done their drawing now, because now we're going to put in some code. So go to Events, look at the top code in Events, and grab out when green flag clicked. I'm just going to make this a bit larger for you so you can see. And then what we're going to do is we are going to grab a forever, take that from control, the category, the orange category on the left, drag out a forever loop, put that right underneath when green flag clicked, and then go up to motion, the dark blue category, top left corner, click on motion, and pull out a point towards mouse pointer. That's sort of in the middle. It's about halfway down all of the blue codes. So yeah, you should now have, when green flag clicked, forever point towards mouse pointer. Ah, and I've already made a mistake. So it's pointing at a right angle. So I've already made a mistake. So what we actually need to do is when we're drawing our what's it called? Little stick cannon, little rectangle coming out, we actually need to have it pointing to the right. And yeah, that's much better. Also, my circle doesn't seem super circle. Let's try that again. Oh wait, it's when you change it, I see. Okay. There we go. Just gonna quickly adjust this. Actually that's fine. I like that. I like the way that looks. And now, because we've drawn it pointing towards the right, this cannon is now following our mouse around, which is really good. So just drag that to the bottom of the screen. What we're going to do now is we are going to make a laser. So bottom right corner, hover over, choose a sprite, go up to paint, and we're just going to make a little rectangle. Yeah, it seems good. Doesn't need to be very big. I'm going to make mine bright blue. You can make yours whatever color you like. I'm going to change the outline to a dark blue. There we go. Nice. Now we've got ourselves a little laser. Make sure you rename this sprite to laser. You can spell it Lazers if you want. All right, that's good. That's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to program this laser to do something pretty similar to the cannon. So first of all, we are going to make sure that the laser goes exactly to the same spot as the cannon at the beginning of the game. And we need to hide the original laser because we're going to be making clones of this laser. So if you don't understand that, don't worry too much. Just follow along with what we're about to do. Go to Events, the yellow category on the left, drag out When Green Flag Clicked, drag out a When Green Flag Clicked, then go to the Looks category in the top left corner and look for Hide. You'll find it towards the bottom of the sort of purple category Looks, Hide, drag that out. Now we need to make sure that the laser goes to the cannon. So because we're dealing with something moving, we're going to go to Motion, the dark blue category in the top left. And we're going to drag a Go To, and it says Random Position, but we're going to change that. So look for Go To Random Position. It's the fourth one from the top. Drag that out and put it underneath Hide. Click that little white triangle next to where it says Random Position, because we want it to go to the cannon. Good, good. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make some variables. We're going to make one variable for now. We're going to make a variable for our laser speed. So go to Variables, the orange, dark orange category on the left. Look in the top left corner for Make a Variable. Click on that. And we are going to call this laser speed. And this variable needs to be for all sprites probably. Probably doesn't matter too much. And now we need to decide what our laser speed is going to be. So you can come back and change this later if you want. So have a look in the top left corner of your screen and you should see Set Laser Speed to 0 is one of the codes you can pull out. Drag that out and put that underneath Go to Cannon. So this line, Set Laser Speed to 0, click on that 0, type in 15. Okay, so the original laser, that's going to make clones of itself, and the clones are going to be what shoot out. This one is going to be doing basically the same thing that the cannon does. When the game starts, it's going to go to the cannon and it's going to point at the mouse pointer. So we need to go to Control and look for the third code line Forever. Drag out Forever. Have a look at that. And then inside the Forever, we want it to point towards the mouse pointer. So top left corner, click on Motion, drag out Point towards mouse pointer, about halfway down, and that's inside the Forever loop. So now the laser's invisible, we can't see it, but it's gone to the cannon and it's now pointing the same direction as the cannon, which is good because the lasers are going to come out of the cannon. All right, that's good. So what we're going to do now is we are going to make a we're going to make the code to make the lasers we're going to make the code to make the clones of the lasers. So we're going to do that nice and simply. We're going to go to Events. Look at the second line that we've got there, when space key pressed. So go to Events and drag out when space key pressed. And then have a look in Control, the dark orange category Control, for an if, and there's a little diamond shape, and then a then. So we need an if then. That's 4 from the top. Drag out the if then, and Yes, we'll do this now. If then. So, and then what we're going to do is, if you look a little bit lower, towards the bottom of the control code lines, you'll find create clone of myself. Drag that out and put it inside the if then. So, have a think about this. So have a think about this. If we have, whenever the space key pressed, create clone of myself, we're going to run into a problem. And the problem is going to be that the lasers are going to spawn like loads at a time. In fact, grab this create clone of myself and just for the time being put it above the if. Okay? And we need to put in some instructions for what our clones are going to do when they are created. Otherwise, they'll just sit there and do nothing when they get made. So have a look in the bottom left corner for when I start as clone. When I start as clone. It's fairly near the end of the control codes. Grab that out. So, first things first, we're going to go to looks. The purple category in the top left, looks, and we're going to get a show. That's sort of near the bottom. Grab out that show and put it underneath when I start as clone. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go to events. Or not events, I always do that. Control, because we're going to grab a repeat until. We're going to have these lasers come out of the cannon and they are going to move forwards until they touch the edge of the screen, and then they're going to delete themselves. That's what they're going to do. So how do we do that? Well, let's get a repeat until. Drag out a repeat until and put it underneath the show. Okay. So what do we want it to repeat? We want it to move forwards in whatever direction it's facing. So to do that, we go to the top left corner to motion, and we look at the very top code, move 10 steps, drag that out, and put it inside the repeat until. And we've made a handy little variable for controlling the speed of our lasers. So go to variables, have a look for laser speed, drag that out, that little round laser speed variable, and put it inside move 10 steps. Put it right on top of that 10, and so now your code should say move laser speeds steps. Now go back to the control category in the top left corner, or on the left side I should say, and look for a code that says delete this clone. When we hit the edge of the screen, we want the laser to delete itself. Otherwise, we'll fill up the edges of the screen with too many lasers that don't go anywhere. They just get stuck on the edge of the screen. So we need to delete them. And there's a limited number of clones we can have. So look near the bottom of the control codes for delete this clone, put it underneath. And there's only one more thing we need to do. We need to go to sensing, the light blue category, and we need to look for the top, that little sort of diamond-shaped line of code, touching mouse pointer. Now we're going to change where it says mouse pointer, but for now, just drag that out, that diamond-shaped piece of code, and put it in that diamond-shaped hole next to repeat until. So repeat until touching mouse pointer. Click on the little white triangle next to mouse pointer, and instead click on edge. Brilliant. So now let's hit go and let's fire some laser beams. Now, every time I press space, so this is where you should be up to now, the lasers are coming out of the cannon. If they aren't coming out of the cannon, don't worry too much because we're about to do some additional changes. So the reason why I put that if in earlier, the if then underneath when space key pressed, is because do you notice a problem? If yours is working, if I just hold down space, just a silly number of lasers come out, and the game's going to be too easy. So I need to make sure that you can't just continually make all of these lasers. If you like the game like this, that's fine. Maybe this could be a cool power-up for our game, but it's also kind of impossible to lose if we can make this many lasers. Also, it might make your computer really slow if it makes all of those lasers at once, especially once we have more stuff in our game. So go back up to the code when space key pressed. Do you remember this one? So that if then, drag that up so that the create clone of myself is inside it. We are going to make a variable that is a cooldown on when our lasers will be created. So we're going to make we made a variable before, we're going to make another one. Go to the variables category, look in the top left corner, click on make a variable. We're going to call this laser cooldown. Okay. So we've got laser cooldown as a new variable. So what we're going to do is we are going to have the laser cooldown continually go down. So this is just going to be a number that's going to continually get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then when we fire the laser, it will be set back to 20. And if the number is less than 1, then it will fire, otherwise it won't. So that's literally what it's going to, so we call it a cooldown. It's literally going to be like a countdown clock for when you are allowed to fire your laser. Now, if that doesn't make any sense, don't worry too much. I'm about to show you how to do it. So first things first is we need this cooldown to continually go down by 1 number. So have a look, you should still be in variables, look for change laser cooldown by 1, drag that out and put it inside the forever code that we have. That's all the way underneath when green flag clicked. So look and put it, doesn't really matter if it's above or below, point towards mouse pointer, but make sure it's in the forever loop. So we're going to forever make the laser cooldown go down by 1. So currently it says change laser cooldown by 1, which is going to make it go up by 1. So how do we make it go down by 1? Feel free to put your guesses. Feel free to put your answers in the chat. I'll give you just a few minutes to get it in. There is a delay. So get your answers in. We need to make it go -1. So change laser cooldown by -1. Okay. So, yeah, and if we hit go, we can see we should have a number that's going down. So if it's already below 0, it'll be into the minus numbers. You can see mine has been ticking up for a little while. But you can see it's continually going down, this number. If I make this nice and big, you can see where I'm pointing my mouse at here. This number is going continually down. That's good, that's what we want. It's going down very fast, and that is fine. So we are going to so we need to ask a question. Has the cooldown got low enough that you can fire another laser? And to do that, to ask that question, we need to go and get an operator. So go to operators, the green category on the left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down, you should find this code here that you can see on my screen. It's like a space, a arrow pointing left, and a 50. This symbol in the middle is called less than. Drag that and you'll notice it fits perfectly inside the if then, that space in between if and then, right underneath when space key pressed. Okay, so Then we're going to go to variables, because remember we're asking if this cooldown number has gotten low enough yet for us to be able to fire the laser. So have a look in the top left corner, drag out laser cooldown and put it in the first space of our operator. It's currently saying less than 50. I'm going to say less than 1. So click on that 50 and type in 1. So there's only one more thing that we need to do, and that's we need to reset the cooldown every time we fire a laser. So drag out set laser cooldown to 0. Set laser cooldown to 0. And we're going to set laser cooldown to 20. So we should now have this piece of code. When space key pressed, if laser cooldown is less than 1, then set laser cooldown to 20 and create clone of myself. So let's see what this does. Do you remember what we were doing? We were spraying so many lasers before. Now see how many lasers you can fire. And have a look at this variable. Can you see every time the laser fires, the counter goes back up to 20, and only when it gets to less than 1, so 0 or a minus number, like if I let it go now, it goes to a minus number, and I can fire a laser. But only after that happens can I fire a laser. So this is a very useful bit of code here, just to make what's it called? Make sort of cooldowns, which is good not only for gameplay but also good for not having your code crash because you've made too many clones. So we've got our cannon working, got our laser working. That's good. That's good. So next thing that we need to do is we need to create some rockets. So yeah, we'll make some rockets. I suspect we might not get to the explosions. No problems, Ms. Yeti. We'll see you next time. I suspect we're not going to get a chance to do the explosions today, but that's fine. We're going to do that next week. But we are going to make some rockets. So to do that, bottom right corner, that cat face, click on choose a sprite. And now you can draw your own rockets, or you can get your own rocket sort of sprite from the internet if you like in your own time. But for now, we're just going to use this nice handy rocket ship sprite that's already in Scratch. So I just typed in rocket, and you can see that we've got this rocket ship that we can choose. Click on that. Excellent. We've got this rocket ship. Now this rocket ship's a bit big, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller. So middle right side of the screen, you should have a thing that says size 100. Let's make it size, what did I do before? 30. Yeah, 30 seems good. Size 30. Nice. Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to go, so do you remember when we made our graphics for the cannon? The direction that they need to be pointing is pointing right. That's the direction they need to be pointing. We're actually going to do that with our rocket ship as well. So click on the rocket ship sprite, and then top left corner, click on costumes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on this select tool, the top left corner of all the tools here for drawing and such. We're going to grab this whole rocket, and we're going to, and once you've got it all selected, once you've dragged a box to select all of it, you'll notice that at the very bottom of this box, this sort of selection box, there's like this sort of curly arrow, 2 arrows in fact, that's curled. Now, when you hover over that, your mouse should change into a little hand. Drag that, you'll notice you can now spin this rocket around. And remember, we need it to be pointing directly right. So there we go. And if we want, we can even get rid of these little puffy white bits of smoke. I'm actually going to do that now. So click on one of the little puffy bits of white smoke and press delete, and it gets rid of those. So the sprite looks a little bit cleaner and simpler. Which is going to be important because we're going to have these sprites collide with the lasers and with explosions. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to create some code that spawns these rocket ships at the top of the screen, and they're going to fall down towards the bottom of the screen. We're going to code it in a way so that we could even make them point in different directions if we wanted. Okay, so first of all, we need to go to events, drag out a when green flag clicked. We need to put underneath that a hide from the looks category. So go to the looks category, drag out a hide. Because remember, we're doing the same thing that we've done with the laser. We were able to clone this laser and make lots of lasers from it, but the original needs to be hidden. Otherwise, it's just hanging out on the screen and it looks weird. So we're hiding our original rocket ship. We're going to make lots of clones from this rocket ship. So go to motion, dark blue category in the top left corner, and we're going to do something a bit interesting. We're going to get a set Y to. Set Y to. So if you look sort of towards the bottom of the blue codes, you should see set Y, not change Y, we need set Y. So I'm just going to bring something up and do a brief explanation just in case you haven't heard this one before. Everywhere on this main game screen has an X value and a Y value. The X value is a number that starts at -240. It's a minus number, goes all the way up to 0 in the middle, and then all the way up to 240 on the right. And depending on what that number is, depends on where the sprite will be in terms of the left and the right side. And the Y number is very similar. Depending on what that number is, depends on where your sprite is in terms of up or down. So if you have both numbers, you know exactly where the sprite is. So this rocket ship, we're going to set it to go all the way to the top of the screen, and in fact, even maybe a little bit off the screen. So 180, Y 180 is the very top of the screen. So we are going to make this set Y to 190, which is going to make it kind of go a little bit off the screen, which is fine. So then what we're going to do is we're going to make this rocket ship go backwards and forwards to random points, left and right, and make clones of itself that are then going to fall all the way down to the bottom of the screen. We are going to get a forever loop. And we do that from control. So go to control, the orange category, look for the third line, forever, drag that out, put it underneath set Y to 190, because we are going to set our X. Remember, 190 is is basically at the top, even a little bit past the top of the screen. So we need to set the X depending on if it's going to be to the left or to the right, that kind of thing. So to do this, we're going to use some random numbers. We're going to introduce a little bit of chaos. So look for set X to. It'll say set X to and then a number. drag that out. Make sure you've got set X, not change X. And then to get our random numbers, to get our bit of chaos, we're going to go to operators. And then we're going to look for fifth from the top is pick random 1 to 10. Drag that out and put it inside the number next to set X to. So do you remember how I said on the left side, all the way across to the left side was minus 240? And then, so like if you have a look at this graph, you can see on the very left side is minus 240. This line here is minus 200. This line here is minus 100. And then it goes all the way down to 0. And then it sort of does the same thing with positive numbers instead of minus numbers on the other side. So like halfway between minus 100 and 0 would be like minus 50, where I'm wiggling my mouse right here, right? So those are the numbers that we're dealing with. And if you haven't done graphs or minus numbers before, that might be a bit confusing. So if you don't understand, don't worry. I'll tell you now what numbers work for me. But if you do understand, then you can play with this yourself a little bit and maybe change the numbers so that they're more to your liking. The lowest number, the leftmost part of the screen, I don't want the rockets to appear all the way like at the very inside the left part of the screen, like sort of off the screen. I want them to be not quite that far left. So I'm not going to say minus 240. I'll make it a little bit closer to the center than that by saying minus 220. So the first number that you put into this pick random is minus 220. So the second number, I'm going to put in 220. That's going to be like symmetrically on the other side. That seems good. And then we're going to create a clone of myself. To do that, you go to Control, the orange category, look towards the bottom and look for Create Clone of Myself. Drag that out and put that underneath Set X to. And then drag out a wait 1 second and put it right underneath Create Clone of Myself. So we'll leave this at wait 1 second, but we could come back and change this later. Actually, no, let's change it to 0.5 seconds. So you've dragged out that wait 1 second. That's at the very top of the control category. Click on that 1, type in 0.5 so that they spawn a bit faster. When I say spawn, it means like it's like a sort of, that's like a game terminology for create something. Okay, so now we need to put in some code to decide what happens when our rockets start. So let's go to Control. Let's look near the bottom for when I start as clone. We're going to make sure that we show these rockets, because remember we've hidden the original. We need all of the clones to immediately show themselves. So go to looks, look near the bottom of the looks category, the purple category for show, drag that and put that underneath when I start as clone. Then what we're going to do is we're going to point them downwards. So go to motion, the dark blue category in the top left, and then look sort of halfway down, and you should find point in direction 90. Point in direction 90. Drag that out and make this a bit bigger so you guys can see, and put it underneath the show. So now we've got point in direction 90. Now click on that 90. Now if you understand angles and degrees, you can put in the number, but if you don't understand, there's this very helpful little arrow. When you click on that 90, this arrow will come up in this perfect circle, and you can point it in any direction that you want, and we want to point these rockets down, because remember these rockets are all falling down. So then what we're going to do is we are going to get another repeat until. Now we're going to make these rockets keep going down until they get to the bottom of the screen. So we're going to go to Control. We're going to look for repeat until. drag out, repeat until. And so to detect if the rocket has gotten to the bottom of the screen or lower, we need to get another less than. So the number that dictates how high or low you are on the screen that we're looking for is anything that's less than, because remember the bottom of the screen's minus 180. So we're going to say once you get lower than or less than minus 179, we're gonna delete you as a clone. Okay, so we need to go to operators. Remember, we got our less than, and we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need to get the 7th green line. This is the less than. The arrow should be pointing left to the empty space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to motion, the dark blue category in the top left, and we're going to look at the very bottom, and look, you should find a Y position variable. It's not orange, but it is technically a variable, or at least related to one. Drag out that Y position. Remember, the question that we're asking is, are you lower than minus 179? Which basically means you've reached the bottom of the screen. So repeat until Y position is less than, so click on that 50 and type in minus 179. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make the rockets move. So look at to the top of the motion category and put inside the repeat until. It says move 10 steps. So drag out that move 10 steps from the very top of the move category, the motion category I should say. We're going to change this to 3, and ideally probably we should change this to a variable, because then we can change it as the game goes on. We can make the game harder, make the rockets move faster, that kind of thing. Alright, so move 3 steps. Okay, so, and then we need to go to control, the orange category. Look at the very bottom, you should find delete this clone. Put that on the very bottom. So click go and click the green flag, and you should have these rockets that are falling down. But of course, we haven't coded them to destroy themselves when they touch the laser yet, have we? So let's do that. So what we need to do is we need to look for an if-then statement. So you should still be in control. Look 4 from the top, and you should find if-then. Drag out that if-then and put it right underneath move 3 steps. Make sure it doesn't suck the move 3 steps inside. So underneath move 3 steps, you should have if, then little diamond shape, then. So we're going to ask the question, have I touched a laser? And if so, delete this clone. So we should still be in control. Grab out that bottom, delete this clone code and put it inside the if then. And we've already done one touching line so far. To get that, remember, you've got to go to sensing, the light blue category. Look in the top left corner. It says touching mouse pointer, but we're going to change mouse pointer. Drag that out. It should fit just nicely into that little gem shape, that little 6-sided hexagon shape in between the if and then. And then click the white triangle next to mouse pointer and select laser. Now let's give it a bit of a go, shall we? Good. So now we have these lasers that delete these rockets. Awesome. So, final thing that we can do just to make this look kind of a bit prettier is if you click on the bottom right corner, there's a little choose your own backdrop. You can search for a backdrop that you like. I quite like this blue space city backdrop, but you can take your time. We've done our coding for the day. What I'll do is next week I'll change the description. Next week we'll do explosions. We'll stick with having programmed the lasers and the rockets for this week. So this in itself is already like a fairly interesting kind of game, right? It seems, there's no way of losing or winning yet, but we've got our basic mechanic. This is a really good start. So in between this week and next week, what you could do is have a bit of a play with some of these numbers. You can change the laser speed. You can change the laser cooldown. You could change the rocket ship speed. You could change how fast the rocket ships are being made. I might just rename this to rocket, just easier to say than rocket ship, rocket. Yeah, so have a bit of a go with those numbers. And next week, I'm going to show you how to make explosions. And as a bit of a reminder, I'll just bring over the game so far. Although we're going to go a bit further than this eventually. So you can see we've got this cool effect where these explosions grow and get bigger. And if one explosion touches a rocket, then it makes that rocket explode as well. So when I say have a bit of a play with the numbers, for example, if I make the rockets spawn not every 1.5 seconds, but every 0.5 seconds, if I change this number here from 0.5 to 0.2, we should have a lot of rockets, which is very fun because you can just fill once we have the explosions programmed, you can just fill the screen with explosions, which is very fun and very silly. All right, so hope that has been fun. Feel free to. I know it's been a little while since we've been doing these because I was on holiday for a bit and then I was sick for 1 week, but I really enjoyed this. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you run into any problems, if you have any issues, let me know in the comments. Say, Jonathan, I got to this point and then this didn't work, and I'll be able to look up your project if I already know you, and I'll be able to comment and say, oh, try this, try changing this. And if you have any other suggestions of games you'd like me to do after we've done Missile Command, let me know. I'm always up for suggestions. If you subscribe and ring the bell, you'll get notifications of future live streams. We're going to be doing this every Thursday, just once a week at the moment, because I'm starting to do more stuff in the library. Speaking of which, keep an eye out. So there is an Eventbrite page now for library events. I'll update the description of this YouTube video to include our Eventbrite page, because we're doing physical programs again. We're doing in-person programming lessons, and we're doing things like Dungeons and Dragons and lots of fun gamer stuff. So I'll put the link to the library's Eventbrite page, and you can see what sort of stuff we're doing in the Futures Lab. And the other thing was slipped my mind. Oh no. Oh well, I can mention it next time if if it comes back to me. I'll have to make a note of it. But yeah, so until I see you guys next time, always remember to stay awesome, be cool to each other, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time, ninjas.